Welcome
This is an awesome podcast. This is one of my favorite ones.
to the Jeff
It's a lot of whiskey, Jeff.
Macolino
Jeff Macolino.
podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us doing this intro video, because this podcast episode is also available on YouTube if you're listening to this. If you're watching this podcast is typically audio only, but I know that my guest today has quite an audience on YouTube, and I thought, why not? It is probably my first kind of popular YouTube video that I had when I interviewed David Weiss, aka Flat Earth Dave, on this podcast back in 2022. Still a podcast episode that a lot of people talk up to me about, and I had him come back on the show. So if you want to go back and look at the old episode, that's where he really gives me a whole deep dive into the flat earth. And this time I wanted to talk to him about some different things, but don't worry, there's a lot of flat earth stuff in there. It all ties together. You'll see. I'm not going to keep you too long because there's some construction going on outside, and I don't know if you can hear it. So last thing I'll shout out is just talk to Chad Patrick, the president, CEO, owner, whatever you want to call it, of WeWinYouWin.com. And go sign up there for a membership, and you will get a free $25 bet if you use the promo code Jeff. That's JEFF. Promo code Jeff. I'm making for the audio listeners, I'm pointing towards nothing that hopefully I'll add a graphic in, or I might not and just look really stupid. Anyways, why don't you sit back, relax, and enjoy myself and Flat Earth Dave. All right, everybody, I'm very pleased to welcome back to the Jeff Macolino podcast, David Weiss, Flat Earth Dave.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you back. I actually, the funny thing is, your podcast, I've mentioned this on the podcast previously when people talk about, when did you see your podcast get a jump for the first time? And I'm like, well, that was after I had Flat Earth Dave on. I put that one on YouTube and got, actually, I believe that got so many watch hours that basically monetized my channel on YouTube as well.
Nice. Hey, remind me, because I've done 1,300 interviews since then. You were not a flat earther, and then when we were done, you were questioning the globe. Is that where we ended up?
Yeah, I had a lot of questions. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how's it been for the last 3 years? Have you woken up a day and not thought about the possibility of the earth being flat?
I'm sure I've woken up a day or two.
Maybe a day or two out of 3 years. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I love, and I love, yeah, I'm still one of those people who's like, there's so much I buy and there's some I don't, and that's part of where I'm like, I'd love to talk to you about some other things too, because it's like, gosh, the problem is and you probably encounter this all the time. There are so many people who are like, I'm with you. I don't know about that. and that's a tough step to get over, right?
Right. That is a tough step, and people say, you want to talk about other things, other conspiracies. And sometimes we call that poisoning the well, but the well is poisoned. And, there's a lot to go into. I'm just looking for, where is it? There's the CIA, I could put it right here. There's what's the guy's name? There was a quote from a CIA guy. Let me think. I think I can find it in the app. CIA. Whoops. Where he said, whoops, I'm typing wrong here. There it is. It says, we'll know our disinformation program is complete when everybody And everything the American public believes is false. William Casey, CIA director in 1981.
81,
Now,
Jesus.
when I heard that back when he made it, pretty much, I was like, everything that's not true. That's not true. It is true. It is. It's beyond true. So
I didn't even think about this because I don't think when I scheduled this that this was even a thing, and I don't know why it hasn't popped into my head until right this second. But that quote kind of makes me think about it. The drones, or whatever it is, flying over New Jersey and everything. Um, I'm completely clueless as to anything to do with that. I'm sure there's something there. I know I've listened to Rogan talk to a couple people about it, and they're UFO experts or whatever.
yes, they
UAPs
call themselves experts, right? So
yeah, they call themselves experts, right?
just an interesting point. Remember Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, where they did the radio broadcast about the alien invasion, and
Yep.
a lot of people thought it was real, and well, that took place in New Jersey.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll take it interesting. That's what it is. It's interesting. It doesn't prove anything, but it's interesting.
So
It goes along with there's nothing new under the sun. So
do you have any I mean, it's kind of a new thing, and look, in 2 weeks when this episode comes out, it might be an old thing. So
we might be in the middle of the fake alien invasion. That's what Werner von Braun, his dying words to his secretary were: the final straw will be the fake alien invasion to unite the world into a one world government, one world religion, one world army. And that is their stated goal. It's not even a conspiracy theory. It's just the stated goal. And there's no way they could pull off a fake alien invasion until they've really program people to accept the fact that something's going on in the sky. Like if they tried it, last year, hey, aliens are coming in, everyone would be like, what are you talking about? And now if they try it, people are like, yeah, well, that's what those drones are. Now there's plasma balls mixed with the drones, and not just drones, they're plasma balls. There was a Lockheed whistleblower in 2008, that's 16 years ago, that said, he talked about Antarctica specifically. He says there's directed energy technology in Antarctica that is beyond human imagination. That's beyond what we can even fathom, right? So, and there's also disclosed information where they can project laser beams into the sky and then put plasma balls into the sky. What's a plasma ball? Right? What are we seeing up in the sky? They want us to believe that these aliens are coming from outer space, the heliocentric Narnia outer space, which is ridiculous. Think about this. Everyone knows the Roswell story. Aliens came to visit Earth and they crashed in Roswell. So they navigated through a space vacuum, which is Narnia in essence. It can't exist. You can't have a vacuum without a container. And where did they come from? Did they come from the closest star? Probably not. They probably came from another random star system. If you had to guess, there's 100 trillion stars or 100 billion stars in our galaxy. And the closest one is 25 trillion miles away. 25 trillion miles. Do you know how far that is?
Far.
Do you know how far a trillion miles is? Let's convert it to time. How long is 1 trillion seconds? How long? Just take a guess. Just to show you how big a trillion is. You want to take a guess how long 1 trillion seconds is? If you guess it within
3,000 years.
3,000, very close. You missed a zero. 30,000 years. You missed a bunch of zeros. You missed 4 zeros.
Yeah,
3,000, yeah. 10, whatever. 31,000 years is 1 trillion seconds. So if that spaceship was traveling at a mile per second, it would take 31,000 years to get 1/25th of its way here. And then it's got to do that 24 more times. And then it crashes in Roswell. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Right?
All to not be able to figure out how to fly through New Mexico.
Yeah. But if they had a super fast 100,000 miles an hour, right, which can't even fathom that speed, it would only take 28,000 years to get here before they crash in Roswell, right? So I don't know if Roswell was a real incident or not. It could have just been, people coming from beyond what we call the shoreline of our pond, our world pond, and that would be Antarctica. I'm not saying they're coming from other domes or beyond the dome. I'm saying they're coming from more land beyond where we're allowed to explore independently. So that is a distinct possibility. It holds up in all flat earth models, biblical or otherwise. And it makes a hell of a lot more sense than Narnia space.
Yeah, it does seem also like now that the election in America, at least, has passed, I feel like this would be strategically, this would be the time to try to do an alien type hoax.
Well, you
If
got Trump in office. He is pushing space farce. I call it space farce. And if you just look at Elon's rocket launches and stuff, it is FAF. And so if he's pushing that, either he's super ignorant or he's in on it. And it's crazy. If people are like, well, Elon's landing rockets on rafts and all sorts of stuff. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely the dumbest crap ever. Right? It's when you look at this stuff, it's mind blowing. This is a little test rocket that they launched. Right? This is Elon test rocket. Right? So watch this thing. Right? They always edit. Now, this, in my opinion, is pure CGI right here. This is just CGI. Where's that? Shouldn't the amount of thrust be blowing that smoke, like obliterating it? Why is that smoke just sitting there? You ever see what happens when there's smoke or even a bus behind a jet engine that isn't pushing out nearly as fast as that? Why isn't that smoke just literally obliterated? It should be shooting out sideways, thousands of miles per hour, but it's just kind of sitting there. And people believe this is real, right? Let's look at another one. This is another CGI rocket from SpaceX. And if you look, right, it's blowing all that smoke. That's coming out of the ground, right? Edit. We've had 2 edits so far. Now, look, there's no smoke trail. That's a sign that it's a CGI rocket, right? Remember the space shuttle? It had a thick smoke trail. Where's the thrust? I see a little bit of thrust, but nothing big. But that's not the bad part of this one. If you watch the top of the rocket, all of a sudden, there's a glitch. You'll see a glitch in the sky. You'll see a glitch on the rocket, and the top of the rocket will disappear right there.
Oop.
Okay, we'll look at that a little closer. And there's no explanation for this other than we're looking at
green
fakery.
screen.
Yeah, well, you could say green screen, but I think it's holographic. I don't think that there's any witnesses to this rocket ship. This, there's all sorts of ones,
Yeah,
right?
computer glitch on the rendering.
This is Elon's rocket that's going to go to Mars, right? Now, all of this sequence, I cut out some sections to shorten it up, but it's all in order. So edit. We've had 2 edits. It hasn't even left the pad. 3 edits, right? It's got a little clean, like gas flame coming out of there. The smoke isn't being obliterated. That thing weighs tens of tons. Okay. Now, look, the rocket seems to be losing power. It's not very high. Oh, now it's a little higher from the onboard. Now look at the smoke coming out of the bottom. Use your brain. Is it go? Oh, it's pretty high again, right? But look, we got a side view. Look at the smoke. Now it's falling. How high is this? It's falling already. But when we get to onboard view again, here comes the onboard view. Oh, that's not the onboard view. Look at the smoke. How fast the smoke is coming off of it. Is this free falling? Is this 10 times? Ooh, look how high it is all of a sudden. How do we have that side view from the ground when it's that high? Now, look, this is supposedly free falling. And now watch look how high it is all of a sudden. Okay. This is in order, right? Now, 3 engines are going to turn on. There's going to be an edit. The cameraman's going to get underneath it. Ready? 1, 2, 3 engines. Edit, go underneath. And 2 of the engines are going to burn out.
That part is definitely CGI.
The whole thing's fake. And now it's going to land upright with some CGI smoke. Ready? It's going to all of a sudden, it's going to edit and a 3 CGI smoke, and it's going to land upright. Do you believe that?
No, that especially that one segment where I even called it out. There is zero chance they possibly could have gotten that camera angle even.
Therefore, space travel is fake. If Elon Musk is faking space travel and it was real, why would he be faking it? Right. So again, this is undeniable proof. And I have tons of these, right? And also just look at the X logo, Elon. It's a Freemason symbol when you mirror it. They love that. They love doing stuff like that, right? They're faking space. Why would they do that? Why would they do that?
Well,
right?
it's funny the theory, and again, it's not, as you said, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It's a stated goal of the fake alien attack leading to one world government. I actually thought of that years ago as like, I wonder if they do this to try to like, you know, my first thought was maybe they could get rid of some of this racial bullshit that they push all the time. If there's
Yeah.
aliens from outer space, they're not going to have noble goals like trying to eliminate something that divides us, right?
Well, we're a warring community. You know, if you are able to space travel, if space was even real, it's not, it's Narnia. You know, would you be beyond, you know, a violent race? You'd probably be a benevolent race, but that's just me. This is the space station. Sometimes they show this much curve, sometimes they don't, but this is 240 miles up. When Elon shot his Tesla into space, which is just a joke, 175 miles up, and it could see the whole Earth. Now, this, if you have a thinking, working brain cell, you understand that this is impossible. If this is what it looks like from 240 miles up, how could it look like this from 170 miles up? Therefore, space is fake, 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 fake. Right? Let me ask you a question. They launched the super heavy. They call it the super heavy, right? Or the Falcon Heavy. You know, and when they say Falcon Heavy, it sounds a little bit like fucking heavy. Okay, but this is it landing in the ocean and it's sinking. Is that look like a rocket ship or a cardboard model?
It looked, I thought I was about to say it looks like it's flexing like it's a box, like cardboard. Yeah.
Yeah, and this thing has to hold its rigidity in space and not explode.
But
right?
it can't hold it in the water.
It can't, and it's not. It's just going down in the water. And look, it's collapsing upon itself. It
Yeah,
looks
that
like
top part
corrugated
right
cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, they show us this stuff, and people just lap it up because they can't imagine that amount of deception. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Is it all
Fake and gay? Yes.
well, it's so I guess the biggest problem I always have with so a lot of things, and I've got from a couple of years ago, you sent a list of 40 things
I
that
did.
yeah, there was a list of 40 things. It was like how much of a truther are you? And let's see, climate change is a hoax. Dinosaurs are a hoax. The Earth is flat and motionless. And I want to say 2.5 years ago, I was close to 30 that I believed in. And I was looking through it the other day, and I'm like, I'm probably closer to 35 now, I'm guessing, if I go through and count them all.
Let's go through the ones that you believe or don't believe, and
well,
we
and
can
I
address
can
them.
and there's a couple that the only reason I don't know actually a couple of them that I wanted to. Where is the one that I'm like, I've never heard of this somehow? Oh
let me
yeah,
let me let me say something. I'm in Mexico right now.
you're you're in Mexico.
Yeah, I am.
Is there a reason or?
Yeah, I'm in Mexico for the winter because I hate the cold.
Oh,
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Where am I?
Mexico.
Do you believe it or do you know it?
I believe it because you told
Yeah.
me.
Belief is the lazy man's knowing. But the thing is, we can't live in a world where we have to verify everything, even stupid little things like that. You have to have what's called emotional intelligence and be able to read people's energies, read their micro expressions on their face, the tone in their voice, and all these other things. We're taught that only to listen to words and not to use our emotional intelligence and just use physical intelligence, I call it. But you store that information as true information and as a belief, but you don't know it. I mean, only
Right.
I know it, right? I could lift up my green screen and show you that I am in a tropical area, right? So that would make you have more belief. But again, belief is the lazy man's knowing, or as Crow 777 says, belief is the enemy of knowing. So we need to have discernment when it comes to important things, right? It's easier to believe that they're sending rockets into space than to actually take the time and effort to discern that it's all bullcrap.
That's a fascinating discussion point too, because it is you're right. It is a very lazy thing I'm doing where it's like I believe what. So one of the things that I've changed my opinion on from last time to now is dinosaurs are a hoax. Just because I've heard more information about, they find one random bone and then they fake build a whole skeleton and say this was a dinosaur. I'm not doubting that other creatures existed on this planet, but
Yep.
I,
Plain.
you know, it doesn't mean that like
So
the woolly mammoth probably existed at some
let
point.
me address that. Let me address that. But I'm going to say something first, and then we'll come back to it.
Yeah.
I used to be the president of the United States. Just hold that. So the dinosaur hoax, right? So in all of the megalithic history of our world, everything we know as far back as any history can tell you, from the pyramids, wherever, no one had ever mentioned dinosaurs, ever. No one had discovered a dinosaur. No one had mentioned a dinosaur. And in the mid 1800s, some royal guy, one of the royal family, wrote a paper and published it about dinosaurs, the theory of dinosaurs. And then a year later, to the day of that publishing, he and his team discovered the first dinosaur, allegedly. Okay. That to me, if it doesn't raise red flags to you, then truth might not be your thing. And never before has a dinosaur head been found, or a full dinosaur. They find like a bone on top of a mountain, which might have been from a whale, during the Great Flood, and
Right.
they extrapolate a T-Rex out of it. Okay, right there. If you talk to any structural engineer, dinosaurs couldn't exist. Go get two Stegosaurus dolls and try to see how they mate. Right, it's impossible. So again, I think dinosaurs were created to hide giant humans. When I say giants, I don't mean 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16 feet tall. I mean giants, right? And also to hide the dragons, right? You think about it. Look at the zodiac, the Chinese zodiac. There's 13 animals on there, 12 real, one fake. Does that make any sense? Look how much, there actually, if you go on my app, you go to the images section and type in dragons. Hey, there it is. So dragons, this is from a 1946 dictionary, and it says a winged serpent, now rare.
Wow.
Now rare. What does that mean? That they're fictional?
Yeah,
No.
that's not what
Right.
that means.
Right. So again, we are programmed to believe certain things, but as I said earlier, we have to judge things with our what I call our conscious screening into our subconscious memory bank. So subconscious is your hard drive, and your conscious is your RAM, if you will. Okay. So a little while ago, what did I say just before this conversation?
You used to be president of the United States.
Is that a true statement or a false statement? We haven't discussed it.
As far as I know, it's false.
Okay. So my point is, you were able to, in a microsecond, remember that, store it, and judge it, and store it as false information. So you can store all kinds of information, true and false, but you label it true or false as you store it. Right. And so right now, you remember that I said in Mexico. Do you believe I'm in Mexico?
Not anymore. When you said it, I did.
You don't believe it though? Now you've changed your opinion on it?
Well, because I feel like you used it as an example of how
I'll give you $1 if you guess right. Okay, I'll give you $1 if you guess right. Am I in Mexico or not?
I'm going to guess no.
Okay, you're wrong. You lose $1. I'm in Mexico.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know if you can see out. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
There's the ocean. There's palm trees. Okay, whatever. But the point is, you have to make these judgments and stuff over time, and more information will help solidify it. Now, if you started looking up, presidents of the United States, and in a encyclopedia you found Dave Weiss, 47th president of the United States, you might start questioning your belief that not being false. But of course, it is false. So it's an extreme example, but that's how we have to operate in this world. And it's much easier to believe. It takes zero effort. You can smoke a joint, drink a beer right after you store the information as believable. Right. But if you want to learn something, you got to take time and effort. Right. And people don't want to do that. People just want to take the easy road. Nothing wrong with taking the easy road, as long as your due diligence is you don't hang your hat on nonsense. So
that's I think part of it too. That's one thing I try to pride myself in, is I might have some beliefs that I will fully acknowledge on the surface level. I have not looked into it. So I'm not someone who argues That's what drives me insane. And you hear this from people. It ranges from sports to nutrition to more significant things. But sports is a good example where you can get in an argument with somebody who will does not know a topic as well as someone else, and they will argue because they heard one thing from one person, and they will fight you. And it's like, well, you're just factually incorrect. I was watching the event you're talking about with my own two eyes, and you were not. But you're telling me what happened, and you
Yeah,
will
well,
not believe me, even though I saw it because you heard
yeah,
it. So at least I think it's an important difference that people acknowledge. It is, you don't need to know everything about everything. It's impossible
right.
to,
It is
but at least
impossible.
know
And
when you don't,
right,
and don't fight
right,
about it or
right.
plant your flag in it, you know?
And people can watch the exact same event from the same place and see two different things. You know,
Yeah.
example, on the morning of September, on the day after the 10th in New York, there are people that believe they saw planes fly into buildings, and then there's other people that looked at it with more of a discerning eye and realized that never happened. But both people saw the same thing, and and have different understandings and knowings about it. So
And it's, I feel like it's also easy to, and obviously the CIA, all world governments are masterful at this, to, you can show someone something and tell them what happened, and they will now remember it completely different. It's
sure.
as simple as, actually a great example for the average Joe is and I'm spoiling this movie completely, but there's a Glass Onion, the second in the Knives Out movies. It's a whodunit, and there's a scene where a character goes and puts his drink down on the table, and another character picks up the wrong drink and drinks it. Now, they show you right in front of your eyes, he actually doesn't put it on the table. He dangles it in front of the guy so he grabs it out of his hand. But then they show you the same thing, and everyone remembers him picking the drink up off the table. Now, it's a movie, but it's also exactly what everyone in that room saw it, but did not, that's not how they remembered it. And they were all convinced that what they saw. So I think that things like that, be it through, I'm sure, some interesting television cameras, angles, and what they can maybe fake on TV. I'm not sure what happened that day in New York. I mean, I there's one thing I do know. See, we'll see if I'm being lazy. I know the United States was complicit, at least some element of the U.S. government was complicit in what happened that day. I would bet my
The
life on that.
the amount of complicity, is that the word?
I think so.
That the United States government had on that event is the same amount of complicity that you have making today's podcast. Okay.
That sounds
And,
about
and
right.
by the way, there's a clue that I'm in Mexico. If you look on my app right here, it says it's 77 degrees today,
Oh,
and it also tells you the sunrise and sunset time, so you can go to time and date, look at the temperature today and the sunrise and sunset. That's a clue, but I could have set that up. This could be fake, so it's just a clue. It's not proof, but it's a clue.
and that's, the funny thing is, you could at the end of this interview tell me, no, I'm actually in your next door neighbor's house. I just faked this whole thing. I mean,
Right, you could, but again, it's another piece of evidence. So again, you have to be able to pick up on things and put them in, and you're not, you can, I don't know if you can ever be 100% sure on something. Like, I guess if I was
right.
in the same room as you and I punch you in the shoulder, you could be sure I was in the same room as you.
Yes. Or you had some really cool technology.
Yeah, or you're hypnotized. I guess there's always that 0.0000 something chance.
And it's not
That
worth chasing that, I feel like.
No, it's not where you can't live life not believe. I'm a person that I trust everybody until you screw me, or until you say or do something that doesn't make sense, and then I have to look harder. But if somebody tells me something, I'm going to assume they're telling the truth, unless it's clear that they're trying to deceive me.
Why? That's seems like it should be common sense, which obviously the old saying, common sense is not common. But that begs the question, and this is what I always go back to, and this is where I think I am on the same page with you. This is why I get to believe a lot of the things that you know, I'll say,
Mhm.
because I think, why would you believe a damn word that ever comes out of any newscaster's mouth, any politician's mouth? They lie to you over and over and over again, and you just keep going back, being like, but they're telling the truth this time. I don't understand. But I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of people. Well, if you look across the globe, probably billions of people who,
If you
I'm sorry,
yeah,
across the earth.
if you're ever stupid enough to watch CNN, I think it's CNN, one of the big news channels, and there's a big event, something big happened, and you see Lester Holt, the tall black gentleman that
Yeah.
is the newscaster, you know it's fake.
Yeah.
They only bring him out for everything fake, but I think everything on there is fake anyway. So it's just a good assumption to know when he's there. But when you see Lester Holt, red flag, 100 red flags should go up. So
So I want to ask you, I kind of want to ask you one thing though before well, let's so I don't forget. I want to ask you about the one. There was one thing on that list of 40 that I've never heard of, and I'm like, you know what? I need to ask him about this. And I don't know how much. I mean, I'm sure you know a lot about it, but I don't know if you have enough to explain it to me. But it was Project Bluebeam,
yeah.
and I'm like, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, Project
Um,
Bluebeam is where that's where the fake alien invasion comes in. They've been
oh,
testing it out for years. In China, they projected a city into the sky, and people saw buildings floating in the sky, and that was a test of Project Bluebeam. I honestly think that they're using it all the time. You know, they're going to try to put, the coming of religious figures in the sky, all sorts of stuff. There was just on New Year's Eve. I forget which country it was. They had like a giant in the clouds moving around. It looked
yes,
demonic. It was
I saw
crazy.
that.
That's Project Bluebeam. And what they're showing us is nothing compared to what they really have. You know,
Oh
the
yeah,
technology they have is, I don't know, hundreds of years ahead of what they're showing us. And all of the stuff, the people don't realize there was an advanced civilization here less than 200 years ago. Okay. Less than 200 years ago, far more advanced than we are now. But we are literally the re-inhabitors of a post-apocalyptic world, and people, you're never taught any of that in school, right? On my app, by the way, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, you can find it at flatearthdave.com. If you click the button that has a griffin, looks a little bit like a dragon. This is the old world section, and if you're not familiar with the old world, it's amazing. If you're brand new, start here. Old World Order by Sean Hibbler. Amazing. Also, My Lunch Break. You can find him on any YouTube, on Rumble. He's everywhere. My Lunch Break. I guarantee if you watch 3 or 4 or 10 or 100 of his videos, your life is going to change forever. You're not going to be able to walk outside in your own hometown and say, you're going to say, how did I miss that? All my life, I've been walking by this and I never even noticed that, right? You're going to start questioning things that the people, that had horses and buggies and no power tools that are building stuff in a time periods that make no sense faster than we could today with modern equipment. It makes absolutely no sense. If you actually, if you actually hit the archive button, which is right next to the daily video button, this is, and the date of this recording is what is it, January 10th or 7th, 6th. You scroll down. This is at the beginning of January. History is a lie about Yankee Stadium. This is an amazing video, a little different than what I normally post because it's not really flat Earth related. It's fake history related. It's amazing. It'll blow your mind. AI. We talked to AI, whoever made it, asking about how Yankee Stadium was built, and it is the craziest, funniest thing you've ever seen. And just watching that video alone is going to make you scratch your head and realize that every history class you ever took was a waste of time.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate because I'll be honest, that was the subject I enjoyed the most in school, and now I'm just like,
I enjoyed astronomy for 4 years, okay, in college, astronomy, and I loved it. And I laughed at astrology. And now the truth is, astrology is the real science, and astronomy is pseudoscience, nonsensical Narnia BS.
I don't know if I asked you this. I don't think I did because I think that would have cued me to it. So astrology, how does if there's no space, how does astrology? And maybe this is my lack of understanding of astrology, because
Mhm.
I've always interpreted it's like the planets and the stars alignment. That's kind of astrology, but I
So yeah,
yeah.
so when they say Mars is going into retrograde, and so watch what you do and everything, I'm like, how does a rock that doesn't even affect our tides, that's 40 million miles away or whatever the stupid number is, affect the way I, things that I do? It just made no sense. So I just laughed it off. But if you look in the flat Earth model, um, that the lights in the sky that we call planets, that Disney and NASA tells us are planets but are impossible. I mean, we wouldn't be able to see them. The light that they're shining off of, it doesn't make any sense. If you look at Jupiter when it's in the sky, it's like brighter than it's like a giant star. It's super bright. It's as bright as the sun. It's just small. How does a dusty, dirty planet gas ball reflect light, 400 million miles back to Earth from a distant sun? If you were on Jupiter, the sun would be the literally like a pencil point, right? It wouldn't even be big like we see it because it's so much farther away. And then the light's bouncing off of a non-reflective surface and we see it the way we see it. If you actually wrap your mind around that, you realize that, okay, they're lying about what it is. It's a light in the sky. All the planets are named after gods. They're all here local around the flat Earth, and they circle above our heads. Whatever they are, they're consciousness. They're sentient. They're responsible for our lives, and they move around. So the movement and the angles to these godly named, wandering stars do affect our lives. Don't ask me how, but it makes a hell of a lot more sense. And the other thing is in astrology, they talk about the movement of all of these planets or wandering stars. Why don't they ever talk about the movement of the Earth? Because the Earth is moving, 4.5 billion miles a year. It's spiraling around the sun. It's lining up with other planets. When the truth is, the Earth doesn't move at all. And that's why astrology never addresses the Earth moving. So you can have a good astrologer out there that gets it right, but doesn't realize that the Earth isn't moving. And you could have other astrologers like Santos Bonacci that are out there that know that we're stationary, right? So the globe model is absolutely ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing ever. It makes no sense. They don't have a model. They have a toy called a globe, right? A model is something that you can reduce in size and it works, right? If I had you know, a, a model globe, can you pour water on the outside of it? Will it stick to it? No. Can you stick a cruise ship or a person to the bottom of it? No. Can it contain air on the outside of it? No. Right. So it's not really a model, it's a toy. Right. If you compare flat Earth, oh, and also, can you make it spin and orbit the sun and chase the sun at ridiculous speeds? No, it doesn't do any of those things. So it's just a desk toy. Right. It's a map, but it's a desk toy. It's not a model, right? But if you look at a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, right, with the mashed potatoes and the gravy and everything, right? So the bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken with its plastic dome lid on it, can I pour the gravy in there? Is the gravy contained? Yes. Can I float a ship on it? Can I put somebody on top of the mashed potatoes, on top of the chicken? Will they stand there? Sure. Right. The gravy levels out. It's contained by the bucket. And if can I pump some gas in there under the lid? Will it be contained? Yes. Is it stationary? Yeah, it's sitting on the table. It's stationary. So a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken is a far better model of the Earth than the globe. Isn't that a little crazy? I
I've
know I'm supposed to call it KFC. I call it Kentucky Fried Chicken because I haven't been there in 40 years. So, people give me crap about that, but it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's what does KFC stand for. It stands for
yeah,
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
that's what I call it too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. So,
typically.
it's a funny example, and the reason it's funny is because it's true, right? The next time you find yourself laughing hard at something, ask yourself why you're laughing so hard, and the answer is because it's true.
That well, you're not wrong about that. That's usually what makes the best jokes is something that is just true and doesn't make sense. That's
Yeah.
or it shouldn't be true, but it is true. I guess that's the mislead. Uh
I know I kind of um sidetracked from your question. Did I answer your question?
on Project Bluebeam. Yeah, I ironically that's kind of very much like the first thing I brought up with the drones. I'm like, "Oh, well, that's obviously I'm in with that one."
Yeah.
Um Do you I'm curious if you have any thoughts. This is kind of shifting the discussion, but I think it all ties in to so the Trump assassination attempt. Now, the again, one of those things I don't know much about, except for it sure seemed like someone wanted to get him killed, but that doesn't to me. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean he's. I don't know. I don't know. You lit up, so I'm sure you have more thoughts on that than I really do.
I want to call you a baby truther at this point, but you're too nice of a guy and you're too open minded to call you that. So I'm not going to do it. Um, there's so many things wrong with it, and I'm not going to say a little bit about it because we're going to keep this YouTube friendly. But I'm going to tell you where you can find more in depth information, which will take time and effort, but it's all there for you to see. So if you remember when the story first broke, there's a redheaded guy going, I saw the guy on the roof. I was telling the FBI.
Yep.
Excuse me. Choking to death there. I could frog on my throat. Hold on.
Yeah. There were several.
Right, but
there was a loud
remembers
witness
him
about it. Yeah.
But go back, and it's all in the videos that I'm telling you about, that I'm going to show you where to go find. It was totally overcast, and that was minutes, maybe an hour after it happened. But when it happened, it was crystal clear 9/11 blue sky.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How did that happen? Right? And my answer is seems like it was filmed over several days. And there are witnesses that say something was going on there the day before. No public local people were allowed in. And then on the next day, they were only allowed in the way back. And we had a flat earther was in there with his P1000 camera and was zooming in and taking some interesting pictures that don't align with the official story. There's so many things wrong with that. And the bullet was photographed in the air. When else has a bullet been photographed in the air? Okay. Right? Never. The answer is never. Okay. The answer is never. And then there's other signs, where Trump was going, where's my shoe? I need my shoe. Well, you have to learn about the shoe symbolism. Okay. In all of these major events, there's always a shoe. Boston bombing, there's a picture, the front page of the New York Times, there's a shoe, one shoe in the ground. Well, how did the bomb blow the shoes off the people's feet? Right. In all the events, there's always a shoe. There's some sort of MK Ultra symbolism going on with that. There's oh yeah, his ear, first they said it blew off half his ear, and then Trump's going, there's blood running all over the place, and there was no blood. His white collar, his white shirt had no blood on it, nothing. Right. Ear, if you ever prick your ear, you ever cut your ear, just the tiniest little nick, it bleeds like a MFer.
Yeah.
And there was none of that. And then the next day, the photos of Trump's ear all of a sudden had more blood, the same picture than the day before. Right. That's a little weird. And then he had that weird bandage on. And then a couple days later, the bandage came off and there's not even a scratch on his ear. But nobody wants to pay attention to that. Nobody wants to look at that because that would mean that he's in on it. Right. I'm not making any claims here other than none of the evidence shows that any of that was real. What about the guy that died in the audience and everything? It makes no sense if you look at the audience reactions. Now, where can you find all this? But it's going to take you time. StopLookThink.com. StopLookThink.com is all the stuff that's not allowed on YouTube. And if you scroll down, just scroll down until you see all these bars. One of the top bars will be Trump assassination. At the top, there's a drop-down menu, 9/11. There's lots of videos there. You'll watch that stuff. It'll blow your mind. Right. And so you got to do the research yourself and don't believe anything I say. You got to do the research yourself. But the good thing is we made it easy for you. We did the research for you. We showed you the receipts and you can look at them and then make your own decisions. But again, this is a crazy world we live in. And if you're a smart person, you're going to go, well, why would they do that? What's the purpose? I don't know. I know. I'm pretty sure I know the purpose why they're hiding the flat earth. But why did they do that? Is there a possible explanation that Trump wasn't on it and he did it for a good reason? Maybe. I can't think of it. I mean, maybe they did it to secure an overwhelming election result to stop any cheating on the election. That's the only thing I can come up with. I don't believe it, but I can come up with that.
It was not long after that Biden dropped out.
Yeah,
because
and
the
I
polls
mean,
were.
why is Biden sitting at a little kiddie school desk, not in the White House? When they show Biden, he's never in the White House. He's at a little kiddie school desk. Could you imagine Trump sitting behind that desk? I can't. Right. So again, what is going on at the White House? What is going on with Biden? Is Trump been in charge the whole time? I don't know any of this. But all I know is that event wasn't what they showed us. That event was equal to the September, day after the 10th event, right? As
So
far
it
as it's fuckery.
Right. So it wouldn't be, and again, maybe I this is something I'll admit I don't know a ton about, but in that case, it wouldn't be, or maybe you tell me, because again, I don't know a ton about MK Ultra, but that was the initial thought I had. It sure seemed like the assassin was a brainwashed kid that kind of
That's the
would fit.
story. They always want you to believe the brainwashed kid on psychotropic drugs, no motive, and he's dead and everything. And that's what they want you to believe. Oh, there's a second shooter up on the water tower, and this, and it was real because the forklift in the area, the bullet, one of the bullets hit the hydraulics line and it sprayed out on the audience. You don't think that's part of the screenplay? That's part of the hey, we'll prove it was real. We'll have a guy die, and the audience reaction was ridiculous. And then as the crowd, there was 2 or 3 bleachers there, I think 3. And as it was over, 2 of the bleachers completely cleared out. The whole audience cleared out, but everyone on the main bleacher behind where he was just remained there, holding their signs. No desire to leave. They're just remaining there, like, are they trying to get an after shot or something? What's going on? Why didn't they leave? Why did they stay there for an extra half hour or whatever without even looking to get the hell out of there? If you're in the bleachers and bullets are flying and the guy next to you gets his head blown off, okay, you get a bullet in his head wherever he got shot, what would you do? You would fucking jump over the back of that bleachers. You would hit the deck and hide underneath. You would have people piling on top of you. You would pile on top of people. You wouldn't
Yeah.
just stand there and wave the cameras to come over here and say the guy got shot. If you watch the acting, it's the dumbest crap ever. Dumbest crap ever. So go stoplookthink.com. Take the time, watch the videos there, make up your own mind. Don't believe anything I say.
Yeah, that's a like maybe this is a local thing, but it's like, boy, I've never been to Halloween Horror Nights if you think everything you see is real, because otherwise there's a lot of people believing in zombies in Tampa one month out of every year.
Jeff, the problem is you're a good guy. I'm a good guy. Everyone's born a good person, trusting and caring. And when you're a good, truthful, honest, authentic person, you can't imagine this level of deception. And if you can't imagine it, then you can't imagine it. And therefore you can't understand it. Right? When you say I can't imagine how I can't imagine how so many people could be in on it, I can't imagine this, then you can't imagine it. Your imagination creates your reality.
It's well, and that's yeah, and I think that strikes something too with me is there are things that I do not believe that I still think, well, it's helpful to some people, or even it could be helpful to me in a therapeutic type way. I don't know whether I believe or not in something like a medium, right, who can talk to the dead. I don't have a know or a belief about whether that's real or not. However, there are obviously some charlatans out there who are just trying to scam people for money. There are some people I think who truly think they can talk to people who have passed away. And I think there are some people who, whether or not this person is actually talking to their dead relative, they actually become a mentally healthier person by being fed something
So,
that's
yeah.
dishonest, which is not a good thing, but it's like at least it's being used for good. So I think the thought of they're going to come up with this, it's hard for the average good person to like you said, to wrap their head around why would someone go through all these lengths for something that's just evil.
Yeah. So so on my app, the Flat Earth and Moon is a clock app. It costs $3 one-time charge, right? And it makes your researching easy. But on the homeschool section, which is the little home and desk, you click it. There's a section that I just added called Darius J. Wright. This is a guy that he's quite interesting, and he has had out-of-body experiences regularly since he was a kid. And then when he was 16, something happened where he was shown what this world really is. And he's been going around telling the story about the construct of this world. He says the world, I assure you, the world is flat, but that's not what he's about. But he talks about how this world, what it really is, and the fact that we are, and it's a belief that I've had for a long time. It's just another piece of information that helps me confirm it, that we are eternal souls having a physical experience here. And once you understand that, the only way they can control you is with fear. But once you understand that, all fear is removed. Fear is false evidence appearing real. FEAR, false evidence appearing real. And that's how they control us. Why would they lie about the flat Earth? Because the globe brings you. It's dangerous. We're going to be hit by an asteroid. The sun's going to blow up. We're running out of resources. We're overpopulated. There, nuclear bombs are going to, take us out. There's crazy governments, right? All of that stuff is nonsense, right? And it's also, we're lacking. It's a world of lack, and we're running out of fuel. But the flat Earth will freeze you from the heliocentric matrix. And once you remove from fear, you can start seeing the reality of the world that we live in. So again, this page is amazing. Crow 777 radio. Don't send your kids to college. If you have kids getting ready to go to college, just get them a house somewhere with some friends where they can do cool things like learn to kite surf or whatever, and have them listen to one Crow episode every day. They'll be smarter than any kid coming out of any college. Now, if your kid wants to become a plumber or an electrician or, go into trades, have them go work for a trade company, a company, and have them work for free. You support them, right? Because college is going to cost you a lot more than that. And they're going to, all my friends that did that in high school, that I was like, what college are you going to? And they're like, oh, I'm not. I'm going to go build houses. I'm going to go be a plumber. And I kind of laughed at them. They're all retired on their freaking yachts right now. Okay.
Yeah.
and so again, I'm trying to give you resources here to expand your mind and see the true reality of the world. The globe stops you from reaching your full potential. The globe stops you from reaching your full potential, because it restricts you. It makes you live in a world of lack and fear. And the flat Earth frees your mind from the heliocentric matrix. I've got incoming here.
It actually reminds me. I've never really put this parallel together, but when you were explaining that, it reminded me of an argument that I have had when talking about religious heaven and hell. I'm like, I think hell is something man-made that they use to control you.
Right. Well, you can live in your own
fear.
hell. It's a living hell, right?
Yeah.
It's heaven on earth. It's hell on earth, right? It's all in your mind. The good news is that nobody can control you unless you willingly give them control. Unless you willingly give it up. And there's a thing called revelation of the method, where they always have to tell us what they're doing. And they always do. And you have the opportunity to say no. You have the opportunity to counter that offer, right? You have the opportunity to to just not agree and not buy into their nonsense. But if you live on their ball, they live on their ball field, you have to play by their ball field rules. And they control us with the fake world that we live in, and they make the laws that don't abide by God's law because it's their world. And then they control us with money. And people think, oh, why this is about money? No, it's about controlling us with money. They make the money up out of thin air.
Right.
And once you understand that, they don't need the money. We need the money, but they control us with the money.
Right. Right. Yeah. You can't feed your family if you don't have money. I mean,
so you have to play
unless you have money to buy a farm.
1 foot in the matrix and 1 foot out of the matrix is the place where you can survive this realm. And there are ways to to thrive in this world. And the main reason that they're hiding the flat Earth is to hide everything else, and it's to hide God. It's literally to hide the Creator. right? Because if you understand and if you know, not believe, if you know that this world is intelligently designed, then you know there's a creator. And if you know that, they can't control you. Right. But if they have you in a world where, well, it could be a big bang, once upon a time, nothing exploded, it became everything. And then gas defied all laws of physics and collapsed in a space vacuum, creating gravitational balls made of helium and hydrogen that do crazy, stupid things. And the movements of those things in the sky determine the shape of the ground. That's, I'm going to say it, retarded. Right. It's absolutely ridiculous and stupid. But people are living by this. And, there's some people that just can't be helped, right? There's some people that just don't want to be helped. But again, there's other people that are like, hey, I get this. This is the apocalypse, and that is the revealing of the truth. The thing is, the truth isn't for some people. Some people want to move into their 15-minute cities, have their Netflix, and and get their jibby jabs in their arm because that's what you need to do to survive in the 15-minute city. And there's other people that say, I don't want nothing of it. Do you know about the line that they're building in Saudi Arabia? The building that's like 170 kilometers long?
No.
It's literally called. Look it up on. You can find videos on YouTube. It's called The Line, and it's like I don't know, tenth of a mile wide, and it's like I don't know how many stories tall, and it's all glass or mirrors on the outside, so you don't even see it if you're on the outside because it's reflecting the desert around it, and it's 100. I think it's 170 miles long, and in it will have it's all electric cars and railroads and everything's in there, and it's going to hold, I think, millions of people. And we're talking about it for years. They're actually building it. It's the biggest construction project on earth, and nobody's really hearing about it. It's called The Line in Saudi Arabia. And that's where people are going to live and abide by their rules and be plugged into the matrix. And it's crazy. It's supposedly an eco-friendly thing. It's all going to be solar power and wind or whatever. And it's a huge bet by I think it's Saudi Arabia, yeah. And it's wild, but you couldn't catch me dead in there.
Yeah, it screams of, I mean, construction wise, it sounds like a cool thing, but
you have to look at the construction. You got to just look it up on YouTube. There's some videos on it. It's mind blowing, unless it's all lies, right? I wasn't there, but they're showing the construction. This guy drove along it all day long, he said he's never seen more construction vehicles in his life. It's massive. I can't even imagine. It's going to cost trillions of dollars. Okay. Trillions.
It just seems like something that and I fall victim to this mentality all the time, and this is a good note to wrap up on our conversation is it's so easy to live the convenient life and to give up freedoms, to give up privacy, to give up things that seem sometimes like very unimportant. And, but if you tally everything up, then you start realizing, okay, I gave up my right to own land. I gave up my right to privacy in this. I gave up my right to
you will own nothing and be happy. That's what they want.
Yes. Yeah. I body autonomy. I know so many people who I'm so angry about the jibby jabs. I live in Florida, so it's one of the better places to be as far as that goes. But I have dozens of friends who said, well, my job's they say they're gonna fire me if I don't take it. And I said, do not take it for that reason. If they get yourself a lawyer and make a lot of money off that company, which would have happened, by the way, but nobody in Florida, they never actually fired anyone in Florida. In New York, people who got fired got a good payout when.
So let me just, this is where they're going to call me a grifter and everything. It is important to detox your body from having that and everything else, the stuff that's falling out of the sky, and from being around people that got the jibby jab. And there's a simple solution called Masterpiece, which I recommend, and I have a link for it. It'll be it's on my website and flutterdave.com. and it's literally 5 drops twice a day in your mouth. It's like salty water, and it literally detoxes your body. There's some crazy stuff going on in the world right now where people are losing the ability to think below surface thoughts. And I think it has to do with frequencies, with all of the metals in our body, either from the jibby jab or from the stuff that's coming out of the sky and the foods that we eat and everything else.
Yep.
This is part of, of this whole system. And this stuff is absolutely amazing. And the people, people that have lifelong problems, they're going away. But I think that this is stopping. It's one of the reasons I've been able to remain level-headed during all of the nonsense that's going on right now. It's called Masterpiece. You can find it on my website. Check it out. And I'm not selling it to make money. I'm selling it because I love it. I won't go a day without it. So there you go.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I know, and it ties into, actually, I had someone on a couple weeks ago, and he is a truther, and he was lamenting around Christmas time. He lost his wife, left him with his kids, and hasn't seen them. And I'm like, he's clearly upset about it. And I said, look, if you had the choice, and obviously this is the red pill, blue pill question, but I'm like, if you had a choice to just forget all of it so you could have your family back and just be ignorant and, enjoy whatever simulation you're going through. And he said no, which I expected, but it's an interesting question, and it's one that I struggle with myself, meaning it would be a lot easier to just. I regret that I'm not dumber.
Yeah,
I would like to be.
There's so many people waking up to truth, and Flat Earth unlocks you from all of it. But if we go here into my app, go here. I'm just going to show you. You're going to hear a lot of people saying Flat Earth is dying. You're going to see a lot of news articles misquoting Flat Earthers, putting straw man images of the disc in space. These are the people that have my app, right?
Ooh.
Right. So all of these people are awake and aware, and they're waking up other people. There's no putting Flat Earth in the bottle. You're going to see stories where people are saying Flat Earth is dead. The circling sun in Antarctica proves it. Now, the circling sun in Antarctica doesn't prove anything other than our understanding of the sky. Right. And so the Earth measures flat. We see too far. You can't have high pressure next to low pressure without a container. Everything about Flat Earth wakes people up to reality. So again, you're going to see 2025, you're going to see Flat Earth explode. There's going to be so many new Flat Earthers this year, and we're going to hit that tipping point. And once we hit that tipping point, the entire world's going to change. But my guess is, while that's happening, the fake alien invasion is going to happen, fake wars are going to happen, all sorts of stuff to distract us, because this is the most important lie they have, the keeping us believing we live on a ball, and they're going to do everything they can to maintain that. So there you go.
Well, I appreciate you coming on again. Just, always enlightening, and I appreciate it. And obviously I'll put all the links in the show notes. Other than the things you've mentioned, is there anywhere people should go to?
The only place they need to go is flatearthdave.com. All my socials are there. My X is there, which is Flat Earth Dave X. But they're all different. Most things are Flat Earth Dave. But just go to flatearthdave.com and subscribe to my YouTube channels. Watch my DITRH, which stands for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, YouTube videos. They're all short. And then watch my interviews channel. On the app, on the More Resources page, which is the web button, your interview will be right here under Flat Earth Interviews, Flat Earth Dave Interviews. When it comes out, it'll be right there. And there's all sorts of info. If you want to learn about Flat Earth, it's all being hidden from you, right? You need a place to go, right? And if you don't want to get the app, it's all right. Go to flatearthdave.com, scroll down till you see a picture of me. It says Crash Course, and there's a list of videos that YouTube is hiding from you. Google is hiding them from you. Start at the top, work your way down. Guaranteed you can't get through 3 of them without rejecting the globe. But the thing is, you're never going to find them by yourself. Okay. Just watch the videos, understand the truth of this world, understand the truth of who you are, the truth of your potential. The truth is being hidden from you, and the truth will set you free. Fear is the only thing that you have to fear. That's the only statement that ever came out of a president's mouth that makes any sense. So flatearthdave.com, that's the only link you really need to put in there. The other stuff that we're talked about is all at stoplookthink.com. Stoplookthink.com.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Dave, I appreciate having you on. Thanks again, and enjoy Mexico if that's where you really are.
Well, you did see a little when I flipped open the
Yes,
app
I did.
Friend Finder, you did see that it said, I mean, I am in Mexico.
This is an elaborate scam. If not,
that could just be a video that I stored up. Yeah, I just made that. I super hoaxed it. So there you go.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
All right, Jeff. See ya. Thanks.
That's it. That's all. Hope you had a ball. Thank you, Dave, for coming on the podcast again. Joins the illustrious lists of guests who have made multiple appearances. There's not been a ton of them, but you can go on IMDb and look. Also, if you're still watching or listening at this point in the podcast, please follow me on my socials. Follow The Last Ride. That's a movie I'm the executive producer and lead actor in. Follow that on socials. That'll be out sometime soon-ish. It takes a while to get to streaming, but I'm actually going to be looking at a rough cut of it this week. Anyways, now my kids are in the kitchen trying to make noise while I record, which is really, courteous thing when I tell them. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the show. See you back here next week. Also, be tuned. Nobody's listening at this point, but be tuned for a new little wrinkle that will be coming up maybe as soon as this Friday on the podcast. Maybe a second episode per week with a little different format to it. We'll see. Boom. It's over. Thanks for listening.
It was amazing. I loved it.
Be sure to come back for another great episode.
I'm one wing away from Jeff Macolino.
Of the Jeff Macolino Podcast.
How much time did you spend on thinking of the name of your podcast? You went just straight, that's my name, I'll add the word podcast to it?
Yup. See you next week.